Path Exile, and welcome back to another video in Noodle's complete Path of Exile lore series. This video covers the history of the Karui. Let's begin. The Karui are a fierce people whose legacy has been stained by conquest and slavery. The Karui come from the Karui Archipelago, which consists of the main island, Namakanui, Te Onui, Cape Owanatui, and a few other islands, including the one we land on after defeating Cyrus in the Conquerors of Atlas expansion. The Karui have many gods, more than any other group of people, including the most formidable god in the story acts of Path of Exile, Kitava. There are some references to the minor gods of the Karui, although we do not see them in the game. Namahu, Mother of Fire, is referenced the most of these minor gods. Namakanui is likely named after this god. Namahu lends us fire which illuminated the path. There are 3 rings that connect King Kaum, who we will talk about later on, with these minor gods. The first is Namahu's sign, a gift from Namahu assigned to the Karui to spread like fire, given to Akoya but inherited by Kaum with the swing of his axe. The next minor god is Valako, father of the storm. Valako is mentioned in the Kitava's hunger story, which describes the gods punishing Kitava for his gluttony. Valako's sign ring reads, "A gift from Valako, appointing Kilowava as the herald of war," a title Kaum claimed when he ended Kilowava's bloodline. The final ring is from Tasalio, father of water. A gift from Tasalio, god of water, to the chieftain Rakiata. Kaum took Rakianta's head and hand so that his warriors' axes might rise and fall like the waves. The other Karui gods that are mentioned within the game are Tafwa, son of the forest, Ramako, father of light, and Arohongwoi, daughter of the moon. There are 3 more prominent Karui gods we see in-game: Tukohama, Kitava, and Hinekora. Tukohama is the father of war. King Kaum was devoted to Tukohama, believing that war was the true way of the Karui. Tukohama appears as one of the gods we must defeat in Act 6. Tukohama became a god through his passion for war. According to Sin, the Karui were a peaceful culture of farmers and fishermen before fate thrust the great Tukohama upon them. It was he who put the stone axes in their hands and the hunger for conquest in their bellies. And that, battle by battle, war by war, Tukohama carved the steps that would carry him up a mountain of severed heads and into immortality. Tukohama led wars against the other gods on Rayclast. He led a war against the first ones, the Ezomite gods, according to Kitava's hunger. He also attacked Rizlatha, the puppet mistress, and Azmiri god. The puppet mistress was a revered matriarch who nurtured her tribe into greatness through love, peace, and fecundity. That is, until her children were slaughtered by Tukohama's brave warriors. Hers was a prolific tribe once. Then Tukohama's fire swept across her sacred land and her children were butchered by the madness of war. Tukohama was an inspiration for many generations of Karui to come. Weakness must be purged, lest it poison the blood of all Karui, is a prayer to Tukohama seen on the Eye of Conquest. While Tukohama was revered by the Karui, Kitava was often seen as his opposite, as the most damaging or feared Karui god. We know from experience that Kitava was powerful. He is a threat to the entire world with his unending hunger, and we can only defeat him with the power of both divinity and corruption, gods and the beast. Kitava is the god of hunger, a primal deity forged from the most fundamental of human desires. Kitava was even hated by the other Karui gods, as we see in Kitava's hunger. For brevity, I'll summarize the story. Tukohama was returning from his war with the first ones, so the other Karui gods wanted to have a feast celebrating his victory. Kitava offered to watch the food while it cooked, but instead ate it all. When Tukohama arrived, he punished Kitava by pulling out his own tooth and slashing Kitava's face with this tooth, making the bleeding X across Kitava's face that we see in-game. This also blinded Kitava. We even find Tukohama's tooth in the reliquary along with the story as one of the Karui artifacts. To replace the food Kitava had eaten, Tukohama and Valiko took Kitava with them to fish. Kitava ate all the fish bait in the boat, so Valiko took off his own jaw to hook Kitava and use him as bait instead. Valiko's jaw is the second Karui artifact. At the bottom of the sea, Kitava ate all the fish. Tukohama and Valiko, even more enraged, took Kitava back to the shore to be punished by Hinekora, Mother of Death. They asked her to kill the greedy Kitava, for surely their tribe would starve if Kitava continued to live among them. But Hinekora refused, for death would not teach Kitava the lesson he needed to learn. So Hinekora made a whip out of her hair and whipped Kitava so he wore thousands and thousands of blistering lashes across his back as Hinekora drove him relentlessly into the darkest corners of the underworld. There she left him to suffer, without water or food, for the rest of eternity. And there Kitava remained, in the darkness of Hinekora's night-clad island for time beyond measure. There he suffered, waiting for the day that he could return to the world of light to slake his scorching thirst and satiate his ravening hunger. Kitava had been banished, contained in Hinekora's underworld before the creation of Sin's beast put all the gods to sleep. I wonder what would have happened if Hinekora had killed Kitava, and what the difference between being banished to the underworld and death is. I believe that the beast putting the gods to sleep somehow broke Hinekora's banishment, as Kitava was free once the beast was slain by us. Apparently, Hinekora bound Kitava to a rock that Kitava could not lift with all his might. Maybe somehow this rock was destroyed by the beast's influence. Maybe it was some divine rock that was put to sleep, or it was imbued with divine power from Hinekora that was dissipated with the beast's creation. But whatever the reason, once the beast's nightmare was gone, Kitava was free from this imprisonment. Before the rise of the gods, during Chittis's reign before the Cataclysm, King Kaum saw evil as Kitava's doing. Those who stood against Kaum were servants of Kitava. But after Kitava and the other gods reawaken, there are Karui who worship Kitava, namely Utula, who we meet in Act 5. In fact, it was Utula who told the story of Kitava's hunger, narrated by slave Utula, transcribed by Erwin of Theopolis. Utula sees his own suffering in the story of Kitava. Kitava has learned from the suffering inflicted upon him, learned what cruelty is from his own flesh and blood, learned what it means to be a slave. Now he hungers for freedom, not merely for himself, for all of us who have suffered under whip and shackle. Kitava is the tormented one, destined to rise up from the darkness and banish cruelty from this world, and we, his children, rise with him. The transition from Karui following Tukohama and condemning Kitava to sympathizing with Kitava is consistent with their own history of being conquerors to becoming slaves. When King Kaum was in power, the Karui were just beginning to be attacked and oppressed by the Empire. They still considered themselves warriors, fighting against the Eternal Empire who tried to control them. To best understand this cultural transition, we must look at Kaum's life. Since the Karui lived on islands to the south, they were not in as much direct contact with Rayclast until Chittis Parandus began his rapid expansion, which targeted less technologically advanced peoples to enslave for his empire, namely the Ezamites, Marraketh, and Karui. Chittis sent the Gemling captain Marcius Lioni to the area now known as Lioni's Watch, specifically to head this new slave operation. Marcius Lioni, their great hero of the empire, one of the best slavers they ever had, according to Utula. He was known for missing an eye, but replacing it with a virtue gem. He was also known for his military prowess, often focusing on his army's archery skills. Lionai and his men raided the Karui archipelago for slaves. So when High Templar Vol bent the knee to Kaum, asking for his assistance in Vol's purity rebellion against the Empire, Kaum agreed, in exchange for Karui freedom. Kaum had already conquered many other chieftains of the Karui, as we can assume from the 3 rings we saw earlier in the video. We also see on Kaum's primacy chopper that, one by one, Kaum slaughtered the weakest tribe leaders until the others leapt to join his cause. Kaum was a devout follower of Tukohama, and rallied the majority of the Karui under his war-focused leadership. Kaum took his army to the shores of Lionai's Watch. His canoe struck the sand with the force of destiny. At his back, the greatest war host in Karui history tamed the wild sea. Kaum led his Karui warriors into battle with Lionai. Lionai's men kept to the watch, firing many arrows on Kaum's army. Lionai's men stood at the walls, eyeing the savages that walked the beaches below. With a single word, 1,000 bodies and 10,000 arrows would litter the sands. But this loss was part of Kaum's plan. According to the Purity Chronicles, in a man-to-man fight on open ground, the Gemling Legion would have slaughtered Kaum's Karui warriors like so many pigs in a pen. But Kaum had no intention of engaging Lionai in a fair fight. By absorbing some heavy losses and feigning a chaotic retreat, Kaum drew Marsyas into ordering his gemlings to abandon their tower shields so that they might pursue and rout the fleeing Karui. Kaum and Vol had planned a secret weapon, headed by Kaum's niece, Hiri. The story continues. It was not out of recklessness that Lionai plucked such a decision, but from experience-born confidence that the Karui did not have archers. Traditionally, Karui warriors were forbidden from using projectile weapons of any kind. What Lionai understandably overlooked was that this takuvai, which means sacred prohibition, did not extend to women. At her uncle's behest, Hiri traveled to Thebris and studied archery with Vol's finest military tutors. When the legionnaires shed protection in favor of mobility, Hiri and her bowwomen broke cover and rained death upon the gemlings from the cliffs above. After taking heavy losses from Lionai's archers, Kaum's melee army feigned retreat. Lionai sensed imminent victory, and in his vanity, seeing only foot soldiers, the Sarn knights cast aside their heavy shields, and paid dearly for their mistake. Hiri and her bowwomen had hid amongst the cliffs above and attacked Lionai's army. Kaum's men turned around, and with their combined attacks, the Karui were victorious. Kaum's victory was huge for the Purity Rebellion, but also for the Karui, as it was their first chance to stake claim on land outside of their archipelago. Kaum's advisor, a man named Lavianja, chronicled the story of Kaum on carvings that are littered across the land near Lionai's Watch. According to one of Lavianja's carvings, Kaum has removed the eternal stain from this coast. The Empire's citizens decorate our meeting with their heads. Our warriors build homes for our families. Our families till the earth, fish the waters, fill the air with song. The Karui way is yet a seedling here, but it grows, gains in pride and power every day. Kaum has kept his promise. The time of the Karui has come. The Karui killed or drove out all the Eternals who had settled near Lionai's Watch, taking many heads. Kaum himself took Marsyas Lionai's head as decoration for his belt to commemorate his victory. Chevron, one of Malachai's students, had plans to stop Kaum and his Karui from coming further inland to Rayclast. She created the Thaumaturgical Prisoner's Gate between the southern part of the Frisian Forest and the Axiom Prison, which blocked any travel by land. She also implanted virtue gems in the warden of Axiom Prison, Brutus. Brutus was already notoriously violent, but became absolutely monstrous after this experiment, and beat Chevron and her assistants to death in his prison. Before her death, Chevron knew that the prison and its gate was the only way of travel further north by land, but the Karui never encountered the prison or Brutus, because they did not travel by land. They instead took canoes north off the coast of Siren's Cove. Kaum and his Karui assisted Vol in his Purity Rebellion, and then returned to their new settlements on the southern areas of Rayclast. This successful conquest was short-lived for the Karui, as the Cataclysm 2 years later did not spare them either. While they were not immediately killed or affected by the Cataclysm, like many who lived closer to Highgate, the devastation began changing their new lands. Lavianja wrote, "Black storms descended on us from the north. Unnatural tempests of rage and hatred, lashing our backs, tearing at our houses. The rain is shot with shadow. It withers our crops, sickens our livestock. A spirit that creeps through our dreams, weaves tales of misdeed around our resting minds. We try not to listen. We try to remember ourselves. Some of us forget. Brothers fight. Brothers die. Kaum punishes those that quarrel, that steal, that murder. Yet still the nightmares goad us into malefaction. We Karui are banished from sleep." And Kaum himself was not immune to this spirit. The fallen Eternal Legionnaires from the battle at Lioneye's Watch began rising from the dead. So too did the fallen Karui warriors. Kaum and his Karui had to fight off the undead. Karui tradition dictated that fallen Karui should be fed to the birds, believing that the birds carried their souls to the ancestors and their bodies should give back to the earth. The goal flavor text reads, "It is the goal that delivers man unto ancestor, the consumer of our flesh, the seeders of our soul unto the earth. We give the goal his life. The goal gives us our way." But with the new threat of the rising dead, they had to change their ways. "No longer may we give our beloved to the birds, messengers of spirit to the sky, conveyors of flesh to the earth. Kaum has commanded us to destroy our remembered with axe and fire. Kaum is the bravest of us, willing to bear the ire of the ancestors for the survival of his people." As his people began dying, Kaum was going mad. He directed the Karui to begin sacrificing and eating their own people to attempt to appease the ancestors with ancient, forbidden tradition. The Karui people thought that Kaum would bring in a new era under the true Karui way. But Kaum now believed the land of Rayclast had become infected with Kitava's influence, and tried desperately to appeal to the other Karui gods for aid, particularly Tukohama. One night, Kaum had a vision. "I dreamed of my ancestors' halls. They were empty. I dreamed of the north, of an offering left to us by Tukohama, an offering that will save the Karui." Kaum was having dreams that Tukohama had some important offering for him and his Karui north, inland Rayclast, specifically in the mines of Highgate. While Kaum was convinced this was Tukohama's message, we know this was really the influence of Malachi and his control over the beast's nightmare. Other Karui had doubts about the validity of Kaum's vision. Kaum wanted to take his 500 greatest warriors with him on this journey. Tormented and desperate, Lavianja and Hiri took the remaining Karui back to Namakanui. Lavianja lamented, "Kaum is gone. Our king has taken our finest 500 warriors and descended into the depths of Rayclast." He spoke of a vision, a gift from the ancestors. Kaum has been deceived. The vision was a gift from the Black Spirit. It has conquered Kaum. The Black Spirit has conquered the Karui way. Hiri has made ready her canoes. We will take those that are left, 500 forgotten families, and carry them back to their true homes, back to Namakanui. Kaum's promises have led us into nightmare. Hiri will lead us back to the dawn. Random fun fact, in the PoE lore document, Hiri has the last name Namaku, and Lavianja has the last name Namako, which are probably references to being from Namakanui, but are also similar to the god Namahu, Mother of Fire. Kaum's actions had strayed too far from the Karui way. And even though Hiri was imperative to Kaum's success in the triumph against Lioneye and saved the remaining Karui from a horrible fate, she too was damned by going against the Karui way. Many felt that Hiri's loophole, training women to be archers when Karui warriors were supposed to use only melee weapons, was a damnable offense. We see Hiri in Act 6 as the Dishonored Queen. A Karui woman's place was not the battlefield, but the hearth. Hiri's quick thinking led to victory, but it came at the cost of respect. Even though Kaum had endorsed her decision and it won the battle, she was seen as dishonored. And even though Kaum went much farther past the line of tradition, or even just basically acceptable decisions, he is still revered by many Karui. Kaum and his 500 greatest warriors traveled to the Highgate Mines to find this offering from Tukohama. As they traveled, Kaum believed they were fighting the servants of Kitava, the only way Kaum could interpret the horrors that befell the land. Once in the mines, with all 500 Karui warriors following Kaum still alive, Malachi, using the nightmare, spoke to Kaum. Kaum recalled, "We descended into the heart of Rayclast, and there he came to me, Tukohama. He asked of me a sacrifice. I gave it willingly. My axe fell 500 times, the jade drinking its fill of Karui blood. Tukohama was pleased." Kaum believed that the sacrifice would aid this Tukohama in fighting Kitava. "Brothers and sisters, I honor you with a warrior's death. Your spirits will fight by my side when we march against Kitava. You will be given in service to Tukohama. You will be remembered with glory." What exactly happened to Kaum after he killed his own men in the Highgate Mines is unclear. I believe Kaum remained in a dream state within the mines under the delusion of nightmare until he died. We do know that 20 years after Kaum entered the mines, Deshret sealed the mines and commanded her Akara, or tribe, to guard the mines of Mount Veruso from Highgate forever. When we enter the mines to kill the beast, almost 300 years later, Kaum is one of two entities undead within, existing in his own dream of Karui glory. We kill this apparition of Kaum and take his essence, the Eye of Fury, as fuel for the rapture device to enter the beast's core. When Kitava and the other gods are awakened, one might think that the Karui would still fear and despise Kitava, especially considering he wants to consume the world. But Kaum's massive failure after the cataclysm was in part due to his devotion to Tukohama. In addition, the Karui went from being fierce warriors to slaves, also in part due to Kaum. He took away their finest warriors, leaving the Karui vulnerable to the remaining Eternals on Oriath. Of the Karui NPCs we talked to, only one was not a slave, Lonnie, who was half Oriathan. I'm not counting Navali here because she's technically dead and we don't know much about her life before returning to Rayclast. But Utula, Marimoa, Tane, and Seosa were all slaves. While Utula is the only one who is devout to Kitava, neither Tane, Marimoa, or Seosa revere Tukohama as Kaum did. the Karui shifted from relating to Tukohama, the fierce conqueror, to Kitava, the outcast punishing the world. At the very least, there is no longer a unified Karui way. All of the Karui NPCs we meet have vastly different outlooks on the world. I'll start with Utula, since he is like a foil to Kaum, the Kitava to Tukohama. We meet him in Act 5 after he has led an uprising of Karui slaves against the Oriath enslavers. He says, "I'm what passes for a chief around here. Well, I put the steel in their hands. I tell them where to stab, where to run, where to die. If that doesn't make me a chief, what does, eh?" A sentiment which heavily echoes Kaum. Utula is the main source of information about the Karui slave trade, calling out Marcius Lioni, Captain Fairgraves, Dominus, Avarius, and others. Although following Kitava seems extreme and self-destructive, his reasoning for doing so is understandable through this lens of systematic slavery and desperation. Lani is the other Karui NPC in Act 5, although she's only half Karui. Her father was an Oriathan lord, and her mother was a Karui woman, possibly a slave. Because of her father, she was not raised a slave and instead educated in Oriath, but she sided with the slaves in the uprising. She is kind and empathetic, arguably to a fault. Both Utula and Valenta take advantage of her empathy. Utula used his freedom to join Kitava, bolstering Kitava's message and the spread of his influence. Lani allowed Valenta, an Oriathan woman who had experimented on many Karui slaves, to join them in the safety of Overseer's Tower in exchange for Valenta treating Lani's wounds. In return, by Act 10, when Valenta sensed that Kitava's influence was growing too powerful, she offered up the location of the survivors to Kitava in hopes of being spared. Instead, Valenta fell victim to Kitava, and Lani and Bannon only barely escaped. Maramoa is an exile from Oriath. I can't find completely certain evidence that Maramoa was a slave, but the Path of Exile wiki says that unlike other exiles, Maramoa intentionally became an exile to be free of slavery in Oriath. Maramoa is actually a descendant of Kaum, which she is proud of. She is incredibly tough and wise, but even though she admires her ancestor Kaum, she makes no mention of Tukohama or Kitava. Siosa is one of my favorite NPCs. He's a former Karui slave of the Eternal Empire, who worked in the Sarn library with Isius Perandus. He was a scholar and intellectual, and was actually much respected by Isius. Isius and Siosa had tried to translate Val artifacts regarding thaumaturgy, specifically Doriani's works. When Malachi visited the library, he kidnapped Isius and left Siosa behind, overlooking him because of Malachi's bias against the Karui. Siosa eloquently describes the difference between the Karui and Eternal's methodology. It is the Karui way to observe nature in nature. The fish without the sea is no longer a fish, it is dinner. The Eternals do not see it that way. An Eternal catches the fish, guts the fish, preserves the fish, and places it in a box. Only then does the Eternal feel he truly understands the fish. At some point, Siosa's soul was connected to a painting by a Karui, Motiata, definition unknown, and he has remained attached to this painting in the library ever since. Tane, introduced in Metamorph League, was a slave to an Oriathan scientist named Lucan Octavius. Lucan used Tane to handle the more dangerous elements of his experiments, as well as allowing his children to torment and abuse Tane. Tane eventually grew enraged and killed Lucan, freeing himself from slavery and vowing to continue Lucan's experiments, if only to stop the intrinsic darkness they had studied together. One interesting note is that Tane fears Navali, the last NPC I'll discuss. He warns us to keep our distance from her, recalling that one horrible night, my master flew into a great wrath and beat me to the precipice of death itself. For a moment, I envisioned myself walking through strange gray halls. She was there. She spoke. She said that joining the halls of the dead was not my fate that night, but that we would meet again. These are the faded memories of a terrified and traumatized child, but I cannot stop myself from shivering when she turns her purple eyes my way, because I can tell that she recognizes me. Navali is the first Karui NPC we meet. She is in a cage kept by the Fawn, who has likely captured her to, create more goatmen. Joke's on him, Navali is undead. Navali was a Karui Hatungo, which means wise woman, who died alongside her monkey companion named Yama the White, and a seeing stone she carried. Navali awoke in the halls of death with the life she once led little more than a dream half remembered. Both Yama the White and the seeing stone were given a hair of Hinakora's dark knowledge, but each serves a separate purpose. The seeing stone drags me deep into its core, where every instant of eternity is known all at once. Yama, like a torch in the mist, guides me back from the stone's infinite visions. This is how Navali is able to grant prophecies. For the price of 1 silver coin, she has 1 foot in this world and the other foot in the realm of the dead. She is an inquirer of the living and interpreter of death. Hinakora, the mother of death, has given her this power. Hinakora's hair must be very powerful, as it is what gives Navali's stone and Yama their powers, and also what Hinakora used to make a whip to lash Kitava into her underworld. We don't see Hinakora much in the game, but based on Kitava's hunger, Hinakora may have had the power to kill Kitava truly. She chose not to, in favor of punishment. Navali says that Hinakora let the Fawn capture her as a little trick, to remind me of my place. But she also sent you here to help. Of all the Karui gods, I would be most curious to see more of Hinakora. She did not return to the mortal world of Rayclast like Tukohama or Kitava. So I wonder where she has been, or if we will ever see more of the Mother of Death. Thank you so much for watching. It's your boy Noodle. Thank you for your patience on this video. I know it took a while. The next video will be on Conquerors of the Atlas, as voted on by my patrons. Thank you all for your continued support. If you like the video or this series, consider subscribing or joining Patreon. For $2 a month, you can vote on upcoming videos. If you have questions, feel free to drop by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/KittenCatNoodle. And now, more than ever, stay sane, Exile.